Okay. It's telling me that I'm live. Let's try this again. Let me see if I can get a text out. Okay. Okay. There you are, Mom. I just sent you a text. Um, okay. Hopefully Bree will be able to get back on and we can reconnect. Um, but while you're on here, let me ask you, um, have you ever, I mean, did you look on the Azure website? Have you ever thought about doing that? I was going to place an order this month because I'm out of cheese. That's not good around here. And let's see, I'm low on a couple of other things, not out. Cheese is really the only thing I'm out of completely. And so we went to Walmart and bought some cheese. Just because, we eat a lot of cheese and, I use it for cooking and everything. So we went to Walmart and bought some cheese. I have not bought store-bought cheese in several years. I've been using raw cheddar cheese, raw sharp cheddar cheese, and it tastes so good. And we had somebody over here and I put some cheese and crackers out and they were like, "Oh, this cheese is awesome. It's so good." Well, we went and we bought a 2-pound block of cheese from Walmart and got home. Last night we were cutting a few slices, had some crackers, we're talking. And Dean was like, "This doesn't taste that good." And he's like, "It really doesn't have any taste at all." And then I tried it and I was like, "No, it doesn't. It doesn't have any taste at all." And then I had looked at the ingredients and it had rennet in it. So I don't know what kind of rennet it is, but it does not. And I was like, "How did I not notice this before?" Am I just so, was I just so used to, I don't know, it didn't even taste what taste it did have. It didn't even taste to me like cheese. So you've thought about it, but the pickup may be too far away. I'm gonna have cheese. Um, Mom, I think the last time I looked in your area that they had a pickup spot in your town, like down near where they have the farmers market. You ought to really think about that. We'll talk about it some more offline. Hey Bree, I'm glad you're back. Let's try this again. Ugh, it's been, yesterday was a mess because I didn't know that Verizon was having issues and I kept getting in the house here SOS only and I couldn't dial out and I couldn't get text messages and stuff like that. And it was just so frustrating. And then we left and we went into town and I still couldn't get anything. So I didn't know what it was. And then when we got back, Dean's phone was working, mine still wasn't. And he said that Verizon was having some issues. And then I got an email today and it was saying to go to some place online on their website. And everybody that had disrupted service is going to get a $20 credit this month. So $20, $20. Yeah, but it doesn't taste rotten, Mom. I mean, you know, it doesn't taste like it's bad. It just tastes like nothing. It just If I gave it to somebody who's used to eating that type of cheese, they'd probably say, this is fine. But I am so used to that really rich, sharp cheese that nothing compares anymore. Oh, make room for 12 pounds of air chilled chicken. How do you like that? I haven't tried Mary's the air chilled chicken yet. I was going to get an Azure order, but I'm not doing it now. Oh, because it's supposed to be delivered next week. So I've already missed the cutoff anyway, but I knew I wasn't going to get it. Next week, next Friday, we are not going to go live. Dean and I have somewhere we need to be. And so, we're going to have somebody here with the dogs, and I'm just not going to be able to squeeze it in. So we're not going to go live next week, which will be the what? Let me get my calendar in front of me. Next week will be the 23rd. So that's right. We're going to be going out that night. So we won't go live on the 23rd, but we will on the 30th. And yes, we're supposed to be having Dean's brother, Chris, come in. But I don't think he's going to even make it in I don't think his flight lands until after the live anyway. Brie, you didn't know until recently chicken is chilled with chlorine. Your first time trying it. Yeah, but I don't think the Azure chicken would be chilled with chlorine. I would be shocked. Oh, commercial. Okay. Yeah. I've told mom, I've watched that documentary Poisoned, which is good. It's on Netflix. And there's another one. And it goes over everything. I mean, Purdue, Tyson, they had out in the Pacific Northwest this place called Jack in the Box. They go over undercooked beef. It's scary. It's just now that when I found Azure, I found them during the pandemic. I was watching another Homestead channel, but of course we weren't even homesteading at that time. And we were just practicing, I guess. And so I thought, well, let me try them. It's supposed to be really good. They were raving about it, and I trusted them. And so I tried it and never looked back. Never looked back. It's doing commercials. Oh, shoot. When I restarted this live, I forgot to hit the monetization button. Hang on. Okay. Yeah. Since I restarted, you've got to go in a specific area and turn monetization off, I found out. And so I do that when I'm originally setting up. And when we were restarting, I was so frazzled that we were restarting that I forgot to hit it. So I'm sorry. Thank you very much for letting me know, because I don't want that while we're on here live. Something else. But no, Brie, I'm glad you brought that up, the chicken. I mean, because, like with the beef, a lot of them were tested, and when it's raw, it had E. coli. They tested positive for E. coli. So did chicken. But then they were like, well, when the person cooking it, if they cook it properly, it'll kill it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, so go ahead and sell me something that is tainted. And then it's my responsibility to make sure that it gets fixed for my family. And those are the things I'm talking about. And I think that there's a lot of people that just don't want to open their eyes to it. I think that we've been sold convenience. We've been sold a false bill of goods, um, to think that you can't grow your own food. You don't have time. It's too hard. Um, you know, Things like that. That here, let's just go ahead and get it done. You know, um, Stuff like that. And then you look at the ingredients. You're like, okay, it's got a bunch of stuff I don't understand, but they wouldn't sell it if it was bad for me. Well, then when I started my deep dive into food, I started Googling these things. Just was like, okay, I can't pronounce this. What is it? And I looked and I was like, oh, this is also an ingredient in antifreeze. This is also an ingredient in petroleum. Um, and I was just like, over the course of time, you don't think they're like, oh, well, it's probably so minute in there. It's not going to hurt you. But over the course of time, that stuff builds up. It's like Dean, when he was on the sweet and low, it wasn't until we moved here that I got him off that nasty mess. And he used to say to me all the time, Sarah, do you know how much of this I would have to intake before it would really hurt me? And I said, you know what? If I poured two of those packets that you use, or he used to use, I do not buy it, and he doesn't either. Um, if I poured out two packets for every cup of coffee that you drink, and you drink a pot of coffee a day, and I do that over the course of time since you've been drinking coffee, it is going to be a mound and you're going to be shocked. And so it was the Azure sugar that got him off of it, because I purposefully didn't buy it one time at the store. I was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. Um, and so I went ahead and I said, we don't have it in here. You got to use this for today. And then he tasted it and he was like, oh, I like this even better. And I was like, yes, real sugar. Okay, well, that's true. You don't drink water from the faucet because it contains chlorine. Um, I don't drink water from the faucet anymore either. I have the Brita Elite. I don't have a Berkey filter. I just haven't rationalized putting out the money yet. But we have a cistern. And so after some time, we've been here 3 years. Dean wanted to clean the cistern, and he wanted to clean the IBC containers from where we go and haul water. So there is a ratio that you're supposed to use in those containers of chlorine bleach. And I had told him what the builder used when he cleaned out the cistern before we filled it up for the initial time when we were building. And I don't know what it was, but he thought I was wrong. And so I'm like, okay. And so it was like the next night I was washing dishes. And of course, I'm using really hot water, and I could smell the chlorine. It smelled like a pool. And I called him down here, and I had poured myself some water because I did out of the faucet. And telling you, my tongue was like filled like pins and needles. And so he went outside and checked it. And, I said, how much did you use? And he told me, and I'm like, Dean, he says, well, there was only a little bit left in the container. I was like, I know you. So you just said, oh, this won't hurt, and I'll just put it in there. So then he was real worried about it. And I wouldn't touch the water. And we ordered that next morning the Brita Elite from Amazon. And it lists all the stuff on the filter that it filters from, the smell, everything. We never had a problem with our water before that. We don't have a problem with our water now. But ever since we got that Brita filter, and I keep it in the refrigerator, and I have really cold water It's super clear, and and it tastes better. It tastes so much better. Whereas I didn't usually drink a whole lot of water. In the summertime, I would have bottled water outside. And so, but this, you know, I've tried going back like once or twice, and I can't. I told Dean, I said, I can't drink that water like that anymore because it has a little bit of an aftertaste. Drinking filtered water for so long now, it's been it's been several months. It was this summer. And I was like, I can't go back. Dean sounds like dad. Can't get him to use organic sugar or monk fruit. Splenda, equal, or stevia. Yeah, I know. Why won't he use organic sugar? Just out of curiosity. You need to do him the way I did Dean and just not have it on hand and say, you're going to have to do this just for today. But organic sugar is sweeter. The organic cane sugar is sweeter than the white granulated bleached sugar. McDonald's French fries has 11 ingredients. I won't eat McDonald's anymore. I, gosh, 4 years ago, ate McDonald's once or twice, and my stomach started really bothering me. So I haven't eaten anymore. And supposedly, RFK said that that was going to change and that McDonald's was going to start frying their French fries in beef tallow, which they used to do years and years and years ago. But I just don't trust. I just don't. Dean and I will go out every once in a while. Usually like for a special occasion, or if we get a gift card or something like that. But still, there's certain restaurants I will not eat at. Excuse me. And I watch the food that I'm eating. There's certain things I won't order. I don't know. I've just gotten, once you really truly start learning the information, you get the truth about ultra processed foods and why they're banned in other countries. But, this country doesn't ban them. People are sick. The people have a lot of chronic illness. And I started thinking about that, going back to my grandparents. I did not hear of my grandparents having a lot of chronic illness. I didn't hear of their friends having chronic illness. If they had something, it was something that they had from childhood. Let's say somebody had type 1 diabetes or, something like that, but it wasn't, they just were healthier. Dean is handy. Why don't you make a copycat Berkey? Boss of the Swamp has a great demonstration video for this. Ooh, thank you. Yeah, he is handy. And I bet you if he watched something like that, if there's something homemade out there, he could. Just this one's been working well. But yeah, that would be great, especially if it could hold more water, because the Brita only holds like a gallon at a time. I'm constantly refilling it. But at least I'm getting my water intake now. I'm not having to, push myself. Mom, what could the McDonald's be putting in their French fries? You would be shocked. You would be shocked. And I know that you've always liked your quick drive-through, but my mom is one of those people that when she does learn it, though, she really thinks twice about it, and it kind of, ruins it. And so she's done a lot better since I went on my deep dive for food. And I did that because I started getting very sick with chronic illness. The reason why what started all of this I knew that we wanted to, homestead, and that was kind of a dream, but it wasn't like, oh, we need to garden for our health. It was like, okay, we'll garden for self-sufficiency. And so when I started getting sick, I got diagnosed with fatty liver disease. And I was very sick. And so I couldn't even lay down in bed at night. And the reflux was so bad. I was my stomach, my abdomen was very distended. My liver was swollen and inflamed. And so I was on medication, and then medication started giving me IBS that was a side effect. And then they gave me another medication to treat the IBS, and it just got to be crazy. I was taking 7 medications a day. I was working for a clinical research organization with the pharmaceutical companies. Our drugs were free. So, at that time I had no knowledge of any of this. So then I had gained weight. I had gained like 25 pounds. I was miserable. And so I thought, what can I do? Well, first of all, I was like, to get this weight off. And so my job at the time gave us some sort of credit on our paycheck for joining a gym. So I joined the gym and started talking to a nutritionist. And then some of the things she told me, I started Googling. Well, then I went on the Mediterranean diet and I started reading more about real food. And when I tested it out, it worked. And I lost the weight. I lost more than the 25 pounds. And then I was at work one day. I was still taking the medication. And I was at work one day and I had forgotten the medication. And I thought, oh, Lord, I'm going to be in so much trouble. And I have a meeting in 15 minutes, so I can't leave and go get it. I thought, if I get stuck in the bathroom, I'm just going to get stuck in the bathroom. And I was fine. I was fine. And I thought, this is odd. So I kept on with what I was doing. And then I started backing off the medication when I was like, okay, I didn't have any symptoms today at work, so I'm going to take less of the IBS medication. And then I just started weaning myself off of it. I took some supplements for the liver. I took milk thistle and dandelion root. And then I had a follow-up appointment like 2 months later, and everything looked good because your liver can regenerate. It's the one organ in your body that it can regenerate and heal itself. A lot of your body can heal itself, but so when I had my ultrasound, it was so much better. And so then I was like, there's something to this, because I cut out all ultra processed foods. And then we tried it. Dean was suffering. He had been suffering for years with ulcerative colitis, and he was on a strong medication several times a day. And so we started with him, and he never went off the medication while we were in Virginia, but he was having a colonoscopy every year. And he always had inflammation. He always had polyps. He always had issues. So during the pandemic, we went for a colonoscopy for him. And the GI doc was so excited because she came out and she says, you have no inflammation for the first time ever. You have no polyps. Everything looks great. And I looked at Dean and I said, mm-hmm. And she asked him, she says, your medicine must be really working. And I told Dean, I said, yeah, your medicine is working. Food is our medicine. So when we moved out here, he was still taking it. But when we went to pick it up, it had shot up again. And Dean was like, I'm not paying that exorbitant amount for that. I thought, well, so he didn't get it. He didn't take it. I continue to cook from scratch. We eat, wholesome food, and he has had no problems, none. And now he only gets a colonoscopy every 5 years. Dad loves his saccharin. Yeah, it's addictive. It's like a drug, it's addictive. Yeah, but you know what? Like I told Dean too, I was like, "Yeah, but you don't realize you've probably already had a ton of it. Think of all the time they drink coffee, and Dad too with the water. Dean used to do it with the water too, because they have to have lemon in their water, and so then they stick in some sugar or that saccharin or whatever. And, you would be surprised how fast that builds up because I know there's been people been like, Sarah, I buy 20, excuse me for a second. I was just watching my fire. 25 pounds of sugar, 25 pounds of flour, 25 pounds of oats. And they're like, it's just you and Dean. You're never going to get through all that. I'm thinking, you want to bet? Because Dean and I go through 100 pounds of flour in a year. So, 25 pounds will last me a quarter. Excuse me. And if I don't have to go out and get it, then I don't have to worry about the store being short or not having what I want. Stuff like that. Same thing with organic sugar. You do use it. We use fewer oats, but we do use them. I think with oats, we only use like 50 pounds a year. But the flour and the sugar, we use 100 pounds a year. Mom doesn't eat McDonald's anymore. That's good. While staying home for COVID, I found I like my cooking better. It is better. It is better, and it's not addictive. Think about what must be in that food and those drinks and everything like that in order to make it so addictive. It's like I used to before I did my food dive, I used to drink Pepsi like it was going out of style. I had to have one. It was like my one treat. And I had to have one at lunch. If I bought cans, I had one at lunch and then one in the evening. If I bought a bottle, 20-ounce bottle, it would last me all day. But then I started having problems with UTIs. And, it became really addictive. I mean, it was like I had to have it. Um, and so I was like, something's wrong with this. And it's so hard to cut out, And so it's like, well, why would this be so hard to cut out if it was good for me? You know, um, I'm trying to think of what else I cut out that was difficult for me. Let me tell you though, I got started on that diet and I was cutting out processed foods. So I was cutting out like the Stouffer's mac and cheese that I would used to take for lunch and stuff like that. And I became very emotional about 2 weeks into this new diet when I was switching my foods out. I'm like, okay, if I want mac and cheese, then I've got to make it and I will take it into work. But I found out that as I was coming off the ultra processed foods, I was becoming extremely emotional. I felt like my hormones were out of whack. Um, and it took like a month for me to start feeling normal again. Yeah. Fast food will put the weight on us. And I think that is on purpose, because if you're overweight, then you're going to get diabetes or you're going to have another chronic illness of some sort. You're going to have inflammation. So then what do you need? You need a prescription and you get caught up in that cycle and you're sick. Your body is sick. And that's the one thing that food can be thy medicine and your body can heal itself. We weren't intended to eat all this stuff and this stuff about making meat now in a lab, making other things in a lab, these GMOs, it should scare us. It really should. Because think about if it can, if they can modify your food, what is it going to do to you internally? Your body does not know what to do with it. And you're like, oh, well, I'm doing fine. Are you? Are you? Do you find when you eat certain things that you have side effects that you're in the bathroom? Do you ever get stomach cramps? Or you just think of like it's something else, it's stress. Um, if you start Googling some of the things that are in these foods, it'll astonish you. And it will make you angry, because you'll realize that, not being a conspiracy theorist, but there is an ulterior motive. There is an overall plan to keep us, making people billions of dollars a year. You think about all these ultra processed food companies, they are making billions of dollars. Do you really think they care if some of us get sick? No, because if you look up some of these, um, if you go to the website like for Susan Komen and everybody, you're like, okay, I really need to be supportive of that. But then you look up some of the food companies they take money from. It is some foods that if you have breast cancer, you shouldn't be eating. So it's just evil. It's just evil. Oh, that would be a good video. My journey from processed food to real food. You think so? Hmm. Thanks, Bree. I've been so hesitant to really talk about it too much because, it's kind of embarrassing, because like having the IBS and stuff like that. But um, that's just me being weird about it. But that's a good idea. You know, maybe, oh, I hate to think about buying a couple things that I used to as an example, but I could, like one or two. I don't know. And then just kind of do a comparison, tell that story and just kind of do a comparison, like something that's ultra processed, look up the ingredients, and then make the same item from scratch. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, read the label, what's on there, and then tell them, I've Googled this and this is what this ingredient is used in, you know. Okay, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Hmm. Thanks, Bree. I'm surprised with all your good ideas. You don't do a YouTube channel, but it's just amazing how it came to be. I love it. Um, and it's pretty amazing that the majority of my friends are online. Um, but you do feel like you build relationships. I feel that way anyway. And it's really good. It's good for me. I hope it's good for you guys. I'm a doer, not a talker. Yeah, I'm a talker. I get that honest. My mom's a talker. My mom's a bigger talker than I am. Dean's a talker. Um, but my dad asked, he's like, how do you think of what to say, when you're doing stuff like this? And it's like, you know what? A lot of times I would think to myself out loud, and Dean would be walking by. He's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, I'm just thinking out loud, and in the very beginning, when we first started doing this, I felt, even though I was doing it to show my friends and family back home, what was going on, what we were doing, all this kind of stuff. It was before people had really joined. I still felt really self-conscious. It felt weird. But then it just kind of became like, well, I'm thinking out loud. And then as more people started joining, I mean, it was like really exciting because I was like, oh, wow, there's people interested in, what we're doing in our lives. And, maybe, I knew how I felt wanting to live this life, but yet not being able to. So when I would watch other homesteaders, I'd be like, well, you know what? I can try that. I can grow that. I can do these things, even though I'm not fully living that lifestyle. And it's true, you can. Mom, if people read their ingredients, they will see on a lot of food contains bioengineered food ingredient. They will. But how many people look at that and they're like, oh, you know what? Everything has GMOs now. They couldn't sell it to us if it was bad for us. If it was going to hurt us, there could be a lawsuit. Well, I'm sure one day there will be. Brie, I used to eat Stouffer's mac and cheese. Now I don't eat any because I don't know how to make it from scratch. Oh, no, that's easy. I'm going to have to help you with that. And homemade mac and cheese is so, so good. Do you know how to make sausage gravy, like to go over biscuits? If you make sausage gravy, you can make mac and cheese, no problem. It is so, yeah. Because I love mac and cheese. I can't imagine giving that up. Oh. Okay, guys. Well, oh, you don't know how to do that either? I'm gonna have to do a video. I know that sounds crazy, but making a few things from scratch and macaroni and cheese being one of them. You are gonna be shocked at how easy it is. And then you're gonna eat a lot of it. Okay, guys. Well, we are at the top of the hour, and I'm going to miss you guys next week. But I'm really glad that we have this time and we stay in touch and learn from each other. So, Bree, again, thank you for that idea. And I'm going to try not to be so weirded out, self-conscious about telling my story. Mom, yeah. Good night, Bree. See you in 2 weeks. Take care. Mom, you need to give me a recipe for it. You do that. We'll talk soon. All right, guys. Thanks so much. So good to talk with you and visit with you. Great night. And I will look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Everyone, take care.